Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. So Joe Cordina wins a majority decision over Edward Vazquez. And I had this 115-115. I thought it was, 114-114. I thought it was a draw. And so did one of the judges. But the other two, and I can't get my head around this, had the fight 116-112 to Cordina. Now that's just too wide for me, 8-4 in rounds. Look. The first thing that was noticeable about the two fighters when they came out in the first round was the size of Cordina compared to the size of Vazquez. Cordina, 16 wins coming in with 9 KOs, no draws, no defeats. Vazquez, 15 wins, only 3 knockouts, only 3 TKOs, and 1 defeat on points, which was a very close one to Ray Ford. That was a split decision. But the size difference was striking. I mean, I can't believe that Vazquez is much more than a featherweight. He's got to go back down, I think, to 126. And he can really make a splash at 126 because he performed excellently tonight. Cordina, on the other hand, so big for super featherweight, you've got to wonder how long he's got at this particular weight division, because he is 31, I think, whereas Vazquez was 28. So both these guys, you can say, are in their prime, but when you get into your 30s, you know, weight becomes more difficult to take off. I think Cordina would probably end up as a lightweight where he's boxed before. But anyway, the fight began. The size difference was palpable, and there's only one way that Vazquez was going to win this fight, and that was to get in close and completely outwork Cordina, because he didn't have the power. Cordina, I think, has better skills, which is not to say that Vazquez is unskilled, quite the contrary. They're both actually sort of box fighters. And yeah, that's exactly what he did. Vazquez was getting in close, outworking Cordina. Cordina, with the heavier hands, quite a bit more conservative in his output, but very, very accurate. Went to the body very, very well, Cordina. But the sheer industry of Vazquez was really striking. I mean, he would get in close and he would let punches go. And Cordina wasn't doing himself any favours, because for a lot of these rounds he spent time with his back to the ropes, and the judges, it's not a good look for the judges. And yes, he was boxing. I mean, he was fighting quite well. You know, he landed some good uppercuts, Cordina, some good overhand rights. But I'll tell you what, the overhand right was never landed with the power. He couldn't load up on it because clearly Vazquez had trained for that punch. If you remember the first occasion that Cordina won this title, which is the IBF super feather title, he knocked out Kenichi Ogawa with one single overhand right. That was only in the second round of their fight. He knocked him flat. Vazquez had clearly trained for that punch, because even though Cordina did land it occasionally, he weren't landing many, and they weren't hard ones. He wasn't able to load up on it, but he was able to land good body punches with both hands, some good uppercuts. He did fire some nice, punches through the middle as well, but just not enough of them. There were too many down periods. There were too many periods where he wasn't working hard enough, and you just got the feeling that Vazquez was outworking him for a lot of these rounds. And this was nip and tuck all the way. It's not like one guy pulled away, had a big lead, and the other guy clawed it back. No. This was nip and tuck. 1 round to you, 1 round to me. It was a very entertaining fight, because you just weren't sure who was going to win right to the end, and there were lots and lots of really close rounds, which of course always makes the fight entertaining. Now, in the 7th round, Cordina showed what he can do when he fights with his head rather than his heart, because he boxed absolutely beautifully and really contained Vazquez's rushes, and just kept him on the end, controlled the range beautifully, kept him on the end with the jab, landed good individual punches, 1s and 2s, and that was by far and away Cordina's best round. But he wasn't doing that. He was allowing Vazquez to come to him, to almost control the range. He was allowing Vazquez for most of the fight, to be on the front foot and to put the pressure on, and to sort of attract the judges. You know, the judges were, because these were close rounds, and probably the judges were sitting there thinking, who am I going to give this to? Oh, I'll give it. Now, having said that, of course, two of the judges had it 116, 112. So maybe I'm just whistling Dixie over this, because to me it seemed like these rounds were close and it was nip and tuck. After 10 rounds, I had it dead level. After 8 rounds, I had it level. After 10 rounds, I had it level. It was 1 to you, 1 to me, and then the last 2 rounds, again, there were a lot of swing rounds in this fight. But I just thought they shared the last 2 rounds. It's not as if Cordina did anything wrong. It's that he just didn't do enough of what he was doing, and he could have made this fight easier by having a bigger output and by using his attributes, which were his physical frame, his dimensions, his strength, his power. But instead, he allowed Vazquez to have his way with him, and it's very, very strange. I mean, I don't know whether he underrated him. Vazquez fought as well as he could. He needs to go down to featherweight. He does, because he'll be a threat at featherweight. But yeah, Cordina moves onwards and upwards. Vazquez afterwards they interviewed them both. Vazquez wasn't happy. He said it was basically a rip-off. Everyone who watched the fight knows I won it. He referred to, he said to Cordina, you know, your friend Eddie will look after you, no doubt. Don't forget, Vazquez has lost twice to, I think, isn't Ray Ford a matchroom fighter as well? Yeah, I mean, he's 28, so he can come back. He's got plenty of time to come back, but yeah, he'll be a better fighter for this fight. But if he goes down, having dealt with a big super featherweight in Joe Cordina, if he goes down to featherweight, I mean, yeah, he lacks power. Maybe he lacks a bit of finesse, Vazquez, but he's got a lot of the sheer punch output is enough to take decisions over most fighters. Whereas Cordina, I think he got out of jail here, and I just don't agree with those 2 116, 112s. I just don't agree. But go and have a look at this fight. It's on DAZN. Yeah, over in Monte Carlo. The atmosphere actually wasn't too bad. I thought it would be very sort of flat and empty, but no, it wasn't quite the soulless casino vibe that we expected, or I expected anyway. So go and have a look at it. Tell me what you think. You agree with me that it was a close fight? Maybe you think Joe deserved to win, kind of wide. Maybe you think Vazquez won. But let me know. Comments below as always. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing if you don't mind, because we want to build the channel up. Of course we do. All right, guys and girls. Thanks a lot, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.